This next individual that we're going to introduce, I would hope he would not hold any grudges, that his heart is full of forgiveness. I am a Longhorn. He is a Trojan. And we know what my Longhorns did to his Trojans in the Rose Bowl, in the national championship, not so long ago. The Longhorns put a whooping on the Trojans, but that's okay, he's a good brother. Dr. Monty E. Perez was appointed president of Los Angeles Mission College by the Los Angeles Community College Board of Trustees on March 23, 2011. He earned his PhD in public policy and administration from the University of Southern California. And yes, my brother is a Trojan. Dr. Perez comes with outstanding credentials in higher education and has served in various national organizations. Put your hands together for my dear brother, the Trojan, Dr. Monty Perez.
What the dear Master of Ceremonies doesn't know is I taught at UT Austin. So I was good to our brothers and sisters over there. But being born and raised in Los Angeles, my father, who had an 8th grade education, made me watch USC football since I was born. And that was his favorite team. And he recalls what happened in 1932 and the whooping Notre Dame took and the whooping we took against Notre Dame. So it's a great tradition. And actually, the one thing about SC that I must say, they provide more financial assistance to students than any other private university I know of. It's a very outstanding scholarship and financial program at USC. The alumni, in particular, do a great amount of fundraising. First, I want to start out by saying thank you, President Diane Harrison and her able crew there for coming today. And I did meet Diane at an NAACP dinner recently, with Robert Wynn and others that were there. Got to know her a little bit. I am so excited you're here. Thank you so much. And we are going to work together, most definitely. Thank you. And I have a few more thank yous. Now, there's a lot of history here, and I don't want to go on, but I am born and raised. I am Chicano, born and raised in Los Angeles, East Side. East LA, Garfield High School, and I did go to CSU, Cal State LA, but I had many friends at Cal State Northridge, Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton. I am a graduate at Cal State LA in a bachelor's degree there in political science, and then had the fortunate opportunity to go to USC. But Irene Tovar, who helped organize all this, is a phenomenal icon, not only in Northeast San Fernando and San Fernando, but you should know across of all Los Angeles, the state and the nation. This woman is an unbelievable civil rights advocate who has been there for all of us for many, many years. So thank you, Irene, for this honor. The first time I met Irene, I was 20 years old, and I was a bit of The other day I mentioned to a fellow president I was a student advocate, and I had next to me one of my Mecha Umas brothers, United Mexican American Students, and he laughed. He says, "You were an advocate? You weren't an advocate. You were a militant." And I turned around and said, "Well, that's what presidents like. They don't like it to be too radical." But the bottom line is, I was 20 years old and I was coordinating tutoring programs for LA Unified School District as a Cal State LA student, and I had Pacoima to coordinate tutoring programs. I didn't know Pacoima. I grew up in the East Side, but I came, and one of the first people I met was Irene Tovar, and she really helped me figure out the high schools, San Fernando High School in particular I worked with at that time, and I was training tutors who were working with young people. I also did Dogtown, which is downtown LA, if you're from LA, that area, and South LA. So I was spread out. But when I got involved with the United Mexican American Students, I did a lot of work with Cal State University Northridge, United Mexican American Students, and later becoming Mecha, and we did a lot of work together. And those activities, you may have seen me at Cal State Northridge supporting my brothers and sisters on some of those activities, but the honest to God truth is we had gone to college, and Irene mentioned she was one of 5. I was one of 3. In fact, there is another gentleman here that I haven't seen in 25 years. I don't know if he's still here, Andres Chavez. And him and I came from Garfield, and he was there's Andres. Andres, wave your hand. We both went to Garfield, Bulldogs, Belvedere, junior high school. And that was it. And if you know Cal State LA, it's right across the freeway, and I grew up in City Terrace. There were no Mexican American students there, very few. So it was a time when there was a need to begin to advocate for change. And so I'm very proud of that history. In fact, some of my faculty and staff are going to be a little surprised, but we are going to have an exhibit here in a couple of weeks with the photographs of the high school walkouts, and I will be in one of those photos. So I have a very long history with regard to advocacy, but it's always been about education. Education is what grabbed me when I went to Cal State LA as an undergraduate. And like President Harrison says, when you find your passion and you know that's where you can contribute, you dedicate your life to it. So that's what I did. I was particularly influenced in the high school walkouts by the Lincoln High School teacher, Sal Castro. And Sal is an amazing human being. And I'll never forget, I was assigned to go hear Sal speak about something called a walkout. And I was a college student, 20, and I was told by my group, United Mexican American Students, go listen to Sal. So I went, and there were a lot of students there. Cal State Northridge was there. Cal State Long Beach was there. UCLA was there. USC even was there. And we listened to Sal. And that changed my life because he was absolutely right. He was saying social justice cannot be achieved unless our schools are open and inclusive and quality and graduate our students so they can go to UCLA, they can go to Cal State, and we all knew he was right because I grew up in that kind of system. So that changed my life, and since then I've been doing a lot of work in education, and so that leads me to my thank yous. I want to thank our gold sponsors. I want to thank Art Gastelum, who's here tonight, or today, president and owner of Gateway Science and Engineering, doing a wonderful job here at Mission to help us meet our building plans. And you can see, and the founders, some of the founders, including this one, are here in this audience. When they come to see the campus, they are blown away. Because remember, we started in 1975 in storefronts, and some of you graduated from those storefronts in this audience that now are teachers and professionals in the community. But in 1992, we broke ground, and a gentleman who's sitting here to my right, Sam Cordova, brought me the golden shovel and said, I want you to have this gold shovel. This is one of the original shovels that broke the ground to this site. And he has a wonderful idea, and I plan to do it, and I know time is of the essence, Sam, but we're going to have a celebration in March of all the founders of LA Mission College, because we owe you a debt of gratitude for establishing this institution. Like our cultural history here, and our MC indicated, those drums and the incense and the four directions, that's our history. And we cannot forget our elders. And our elders put their lives on the line to have this college. So we honor you, we honor your commitment, and we will celebrate that great event. I also want to thank Corinne Sanchez, who can't make it today, but Magdalena Duran is here from Proyecto del Barrio for being a gold sponsor. I met Corinne as a student at Cal State Northridge. I must say I hung out here a lot. Your girls were very beautiful in this area. Nothing against East LA girls, but I did hang out a lot in San Fernando Valley. And then there's a third gentleman that I have come to know very much. I've heard of him often. I know his chief of staff at the time very well. He has been a stalwart supporter of this college and continues to be a stalwart supporter of this college. And another gold sponsor, I want to thank Councilmember Richard Alarcon. Thank you, Richard, for District 7. Richard has blazed trails wherever he's gone. We're all cognizant of those trails. You continue to do so. Your staff has been phenomenal, and I think President Harrison and your staff could empathize or sympathize. We had a meeting last Wednesday night with our neighbors. Well, they had plenty to tell us about traffic and parking and trash and speeding and all these problems because the college is right next door. And your guy, Dan Rosales, was wonderful. We got an action plan together. They were happy that we have an action plan and we're going to start taking care of all those issues. And I'm really glad that we have an open dialogue with our neighbors. So thank you, Richard, for that help. I also want to thank Javier Nunez from Local 300, Labor's Council, for a gold sponsor. Say hello to Sergio Ascon. We're doing some interesting things with Labor Union 300. And a gentleman that I'm going to recognize now who was on the Friends Committee, organizing committee, Bobby Arias, who's back there, our DJ guy. Now see, I spent time here because when I landed at Mission, I said to myself, who do I know, you know? And then Irene, of course, I said, I'm gonna call Irene. And I started listing, and then boom, Bobby Arias. I went to grad school with Bobby Arias 30 years ago at USC. I'll let Bobby deal with you because he's a much ardent fan than I am, so I'll leave it to you, Bobby. But Bobby works as executive director with Blinky Rodriguez in a group called Communities and Schools. They work, they're a very beautiful organization. And they work with at-risk youth, probation youth, parole. They work with the hardcore, those issues that you never see in the paper, you never hear about, but guess what? Issues that have to be dealt with in a domestic front. And they do a wonderful job. But one of the things Bobby raised was, can we hire youth in your construction program? And I said to myself, gee, I hadn't thought of that. Can we hire people from Pacoima, Panorama City, Sylmar, San Fernando to work on our construction program? Because these are viable jobs. They're good jobs. And because of that connection and that question, I pursued it with Local 300, and Bobby just informed me that 9 out of 14 went to boot camp and are on their way to be apprenticeships, and they're going to start working here at Mission College. And I think that's what President Harrison is talking about, partnerships. That's what it's all about. It's not just the partnership the two institutions of higher ed have, and the partnership she talked about with the parents and the loved ones that have to support the students, but it's partnerships with the business community. It's partnerships with the nonprofit community. It's partnerships with the churches. I recently attended, because of Robert went here, good friend of, again, Councilman Alarcon, a meeting of 70 pastors in the Pacoima area, San Fernando area. We were talking about how do we get African-American male students to succeed in mathematics. Because in our school, I don't know how it is at Northridge, they're the lowest achieving group in mathematics. And I had developed a program for that in Moreno Valley College in Riverside, and it worked. What it did is it provided intensive tutoring so that the students would move out of remedial right into freshman college, freshman mathematics. And so again, it's those partnerships with the churches, and the pastors were delighted. We're moving forward with some of those initiatives. We're talking about middle schools and high schools. We have to do that. That's our job as a college here, as LA Mission Community College. I also want to recognize Jose Oliva, our president of the LA Mission Foundation, graduate of Mission College. Jose and I work very closely, and I love it because one of the things President Harrison mentioned is our mantra here, at least when I arrived, and it's, guess what? We have to be entrepreneurial. We can't rely totally on the state. We got to find ways to partner with the private sector to fund these type of activities and programs that we need here at Mission. And so Jose's been a real supporter of that, and the others on the board, Art, Gastelum and others on the board, we've opened our doors to not just scholarships, but we give, you know, $35,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year in scholarships. I'm very happy about that. We want to grow that, but also to enter into partnerships with business so we develop revenue streams that can be used for program development. And that's been a real fun time with you, Jose, and the group. I want to thank the friends, sponsors, all of the friends that organized this, many organizations, UFE and others that put this together. I want to recognize my staff, the Vice President Joe Ramirez, Darlene Montes, Ludi, Stephanie, I can go on, Diana. I think Danny's here somewhere with his little, the Vice President of Administrative Services. And then finally, I want to thank the students. There's an extraordinary human being in our midst, and that's Michael Griggs, my president of the Associated Student Organization. He is extraordinary because he's very, very insightful. He's very bright. He's very smart. And he helps me. And we have discussions together about leadership. And I must say I learned much from him. And I hope he learned something from me. But Michael, thank you so much for being here. I want to recognize a few people in the audience, and then I'm going to wrap up with my vision. It won't be long. I want to recognize first Trustee Steve Vettis. I think he's still here. Trustee Vettis, President of the LA Community College Board of Trustees. Trustee Vettis is a local boy, born and raised in San Fernando, and he's doing a wonderful job. Thank you, Steve, for coming. I also want to introduce our Assemblyman Felipe Fuentes, if he's still here. He was here earlier. I want to recognize also Carmen Tutanovic. He's here. Tutanovic, yes, thank you. City Attorney, thank you, Carmen. Thank you for coming. I also want to recognize our Deputy Chancellor for the LA Community College District, Dr. Adriana Barrera. Now, her heart is here. She's taking care of all of the 9 colleges and the district and our chancellor and the board, but her heart is here. I gave her the good news. I don't know if you heard, but Miguel Gonzalez pitched for the Orioles 8 innings in the game before last, and he's a graduate of Mission College. And Adriana mentioned that was the year she was president here. We started our baseball team. So see, you got something going there, and baseball's well loved and well supported here at this college, and we're gonna make sure it grows. But that was outstanding news. And finally, I want to introduce a couple other individuals. I want to introduce Daniel Campos, the student trustee of the LA Community College District. Now, Daniel was the student body president, the ASO president of Mission College, before he won the election for the student trustee of all 9 colleges. So you see, we are the little college on the move. We're in key places throughout all of Los Angeles, and it's because we have heart. We have heart and we have a vision. I want to also thank, unfortunately my wife wasn't able to attend today, Dr. Margaret Quinones, but my son is here, David Perez, professor of English at Mount St. Mary's. David. So finally, let me talk about Mission real quick. We have 10,200 students this fall. Last year we had 10,500 students, and we have 100 less classes this fall than last year. What does that mean? That means our students are being serious. They're taking those classes and not dropping those classes, but it also means that our faculty are taking more students in the classroom. Our average class size is 43 per class. We're the highest of all 9 colleges. Now that isn't great in one way because you want to give your students more one-on-one time, but it is what it is, folks. We are under a budget crisis, and it's very difficult to move forward when we're being hamstrung the way we're being hamstrung. But we're going to do what we can. We have this idea that even with the budget the way it is, the bottom line is we have to take ownership. In other words, and I think President Harrison said it very well, we cannot rely on the state alone. We have to rely on ourselves. We have to create, and I heard this term, a ring of hope, a region of hope that says, despite what occurs, our elementary schools, our middle schools, our high school graduates will be successful because we take ownership, we take responsibility as parents, as nonprofits, as colleges, and as the private sector. We're going to take responsibility for this area, this region. Now, to create that, you have to have the ability to come together and work together. And oftentimes we get fragmented because we all have a lot of things on our agenda. But I can tell you, standing here, that is my main agenda, and that is to make Mission College part of the solution not the problem, to make sure that we are the vehicle to transform those communities to successful educational outcomes. This is what we're about here, and this is what we want to do. So that's our first vision. How can you use mission? How can we partner with you at the middle school to make it happen, or at the high schools? The other thing we want to do is we want to branch out in a much bit better way in the sciences, technology, engineering, and math, STEM. We are an HSI, of course. We're 70% Hispanic. However, we now at our place, we just got a STEM grant 10 months ago to really significantly move our computer science, pre-engineering, our allied health offerings, and to significantly move toward mathematics and technology. So we've already met with your people, President Harrison, on those agendas in a joint meeting, and we're talking about an engineering articulation. We're talking about an allied health articulation. Now, as you know in the audience, we're not just only transfer, although transfer is significantly important to us because careers require BAs and masters and doctors. But we also want to grow our career technical education programs. We can, and we're moving in the direction of biomedical techs. We're moving in the direction of home health aides. We're moving in the direction of radiology techs because we know there are jobs in those areas and we know that there's career pathways in those areas. Mission hasn't been doing that in a significant way. Our largest two programs in career and technical ed are child development, both the certificate child development as well as the BA, AA on for the BA, so that's been good, and culinary arts, which, by the way, if you ate, is just phenomenal. Long Beach City College was here yesterday trying to find out what's your formula, how do you do this? But we're proud to have that new building and that program. But we need to advance our career technical education offerings for good jobs. And where I came from, Moreno Valley, we had the only physician assistant program in the community colleges in the state of California, the only public community college physician assistant program. And it was a 2-year program, and students who graduated from our PA program started at $80,000 a year with full benefits, 100% employment. This is the kind of stuff we want to bring here, because we know that once young people taste success, they will want to go on. They will want to go on. Finally, we want more teachers, prepare teachers here for Cal State Northridge. We want to articulate that because we know we need more teachers. We know that teachers are retiring, and yes, K-12 is going through some hard times, but we need to provide that teaching force, and we want to be part of that. Our bottom line is Cal State Northridge bottom line, student success. We have a program called Achieving the Dream we're starting. It's part of a national effort, and it's requiring how do we address English and mathematics and science in a way that will advance students. Because we know many of our students come to the community college, they're academically unprepared for college freshman English, college freshman math, and science. So we have an initiative this year where we're going to try some new kinds of innovations. We're going to start clustering classrooms together. We're going to do a lot of tutorial intensive. We're going to work with counseling, and counseling is going to provide joint instructional and counseling activities. We want to raise the bar so our students will succeed. Instead of them taking 3 years to get through remedial math to finally get a math course, we're going to knock that down to no more than a year. We're going to knock it and accelerate our remedial programs. We have to do that. And finally, I want to say this, and I'll wrap up. I think today is a beautiful day for all of us in this room, but for Mission College students. we see them, and we see the students at the high schools and the middle schools, and they ask, is there hope? And the answer I always give is yes, there is hope, but they're discouraged because they read in the paper that prices are going up and parents continue to see those dollars dwindle. So what I want to leave with you today is I'm committed, Mission is committed, all of these people in the room are committed, our local council member, our assembly members, our senators, we're all committed to make this work for those students. So together we can do this, and President Harrison, I'm so glad you're here. I look forward to our continuing relationship. Thank you so much.